Hello Toy Collector fans, Universal Toy Collector here and welcome to the channel. Join me as I count down to my favourite original cast Star Trek movie. Okay guys, so yeah, you did hear me right. This is just the original cast movies. So that's Star Trek the Motion Picture all the way through to Star Trek 6 The Undiscovered Country. The reason for that being is the next generation movies, I will more than likely do a separate video on those at a later date. The latest Star Trek reboot movies, I will probably leave them alone for the time being. I have seen them. They didn't make that much of an impression on me. So I'll probably need to watch them again to get a better understanding of them, and so I can give them not a review as such, like a ranking and which one I liked and which one I didn't like, and blah blah blah. So anyway, moving on, let's start, and we'll jump in at number 6. So this is Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. This was released in 1989 in the UK, and it was directed by William Shatner. Now, for me, the poster says it all. The Enterprise is back. They're asking the question, this time, have they gone too far? In my opinion, yes, they have. This film, again, in my opinion, should never have been made. It was awful. I've thought about this quite a bit. There is only one bit that I liked. I'll get to that bit in a minute. I thought it was cheaply made. I'm not too sure what the budget was, but compared to the 4 movies before that, it looked flimsy. It looked cheap. The plot line, it could have worked. It could have worked. But it didn't for me. I'm not reviewing the movie on the story or going to be telling you too much about the story. I'm just giving you my thoughts and opinions on what I thought of the story, what I thought of the film in general. I didn't enjoy it, let's put it that way. I came out of the Odeon or the cinema disappointed with this film. The one good bit I did like was the scene on the Enterprise where you've got Spock, McCoy and Kirk, and they're in the room with Cyborg, and he's trying to take away their pain for them to join his like religious cult, which is basically what it was, a religious cult. So they take away the pain from McCoy, and they move on to Kirk, and Kirk's like, no, don't take my pain away. I need my pain. My pain is what makes me whole, sort of thing. So yeah, that was the bit I enjoyed. That was the only bit. Again, I thought the acting wasn't great. The planet of peace that they're on, I can't remember the name. It didn't stick with me. But you've got that stupid Catwoman, and then you've literally got a pool table, which is basically a pool on legs with pool balls in there. I mean, Jesus Christ. I didn't enjoy the film, and we'll leave it at that. That is why it is number 6, beg your pardon. Moving on, number 6. For God's sake, Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, which is 5th in my countdown. This was released in 1991 in the US. Director Nicholas Meyer, and this was his second offering as a director in the Star Trek franchise. Yeah, it's marginally better than Star Trek 5, only marginally. The effects were better. The story was okay. It started off well, but then it just turned into a whodunit in space murder mystery type kind of thing, which yeah, I didn't enjoy. I really do wish again they hadn't made this film. I'd have been happy with them just doing the 4. There's nothing worse than seeing actors who have aged and they're trying to still play the same character and how those characters were when they were 40, 50 years younger. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. I can tell you now that when I'm 60, 65, coming up 70, even 80, I won't be running around. I won't be. I will be a miserable old bastard sitting in a chair, rocking backwards and forwards with slippers, a pipe, and a hot cup of cocoa. It doesn't look right. There's. I know actors keep fit, but there was nothing fit about Kirk. He was bigger. They all were. It just doesn't work. I mean, I'm not being ageist or anything like that. You just cannot do these kind of action movies with older aging actors. It just doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't look good, and it becomes a mockery. The only kind of film I guess that can get away with it are the is it not the Invincibles? Oh bloody hell! The one Sly Stallone did. I can't remember, but that was kind of like a piss take of all the action movie actors and stuff like that. Anyway, I digress. So yes, this film is in 5th place for me. Moving swiftly on. In 4th place is Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. This was released in the UK in 1987, and this was directed by Leonard Nimoy. Now, this was the second film in the Star Trek franchise, or the original cast that he directed. I'm on the fence with this one. I would have been happy if they'd have left it at 4. I would have also been happy, or just as happy, if they hadn't made this film. It was a direct continuation from Star Trek 3. I like the continuity between the end of Star Trek 3 and the beginning of Star Trek 4. I think that works. I like that. The story obviously continued. Obviously, they're heading home after their trials and tribulations of the previous 2 movies. But for me, I'm really on the fence. This is why it's halfway, or near enough halfway. The storyline, and I can take it or leave it. I mean, basically, Earth is under attack from what I can only describe as a giant sex toy. It turned out to be a probe. I'm not going to say much more than that. I could go anyway with this, but yeah, it was a probe for humpback whales. So Kirk and the crew had to jump back in time to pick up 2 humpback whales to take to their present future to save the world. Again, if it's on in the background, I'll watch it, but I won't make a beeline for this movie. I would have been quite happy if they'd have left it at 4. I'd have been quite happy if they hadn't made this film. That is all I will say on that. Okay, moving on. Number 3, the film that started it all, Star Trek: The Motion Picture. This was released in 1979, directed by Robert Wise. I liked it. It was a hell of a lot better than the previous 3 movies that we've just been through. For me, although I did like it, for me, this was basically a very long episode of a Star Trek TV series. That's how it came across. There wasn't much action in it. It was very slow build up, and it wasn't fast paced, let's put it that way. It was quite slow all the way through the film. It was one of those films where you had to really sit and listen to what's going on, otherwise you could miss it. What I did like about it was the fact that the cast and the crew were reunited again. I think it was 10 years after the original Star Trek series was cancelled. Yeah, it was good seeing them back. I like the chemistry between Spock, McCoy, and Kirk. I think that worked very well in this movie, as it does in all the movies. I have to say, it just seemed to work better in this. It was a more serious. I think towards the end of it, they were taking the piss out of each other in a way, which kind of ruined it for me. The chemistry between them, it was really strong in the first 3 movies, that was for sure. But yeah, it introduced us to new characters, Captain Decker and Lieutenant Alia. These were new characters. These weren't in the original Star Trek series, although Captain Decker's father, Commodore Decker, was in one of the original series episodes. I can't remember what it was called, but it was the one where you had the giant thing in space that was destroying planets and stuff like that, and he crashed his ship into it to blow it up and to kill it, really. Yeah, other than that, oh sorry, just quickly, you get to see the Klingons again. The new look Klingons, by the way, in the original series, they all look very human with very bad suntans or suntan lotion, fake tan lotion. That's what I'm trying to, the word I was looking for. But other than that, yeah, it was just a very long episode of a Star Trek series. So moving on, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. I did enjoy this. I thought this was a very good film. Like the previous one I've just done, the motion picture, these were far superior than the bottom 3, in my opinion. This was released in 1984, directed by Leonard Nimoy. So this was the first film that he directed. His character Spock wasn't in the film hardly at all, apart from a few scenes at the end of the movie. So he was behind the camera. Directing wise, I don't think he did a bad job. I quite liked it. I liked the story behind it. I enjoyed the action. I was very emotional when they destroyed the Enterprise. I have to say, I didn't see that coming. I wasn't expecting that. That was an iconic ship. It still is an iconic ship, and to see it blow up like that, I was like, wow, okay. So I welled up. I was a lot younger and more emotional back in those days. What I wasn't too keen on was the part played by Christopher Lloyd. As much as I love him as an actor, I thought he did a great job in Back to the Future. But when he was in this, all I could think of was Back to the Future, the flux capacitor, the DeLorean time machine, and Great Scott. And I was expecting Marty McFly to keep running around the corner at any moment. So yeah, that was the down point for me. I think he played the part well, as in, but he just didn't. I wish you'd have put on a different voice. He just sounded too well. That's his voice, I guess. But the whole part of being an actor, I thought, was to play a different part, and it just seemed that he was playing Doc Brown but dressed up as a Klingon. That's my only gripe about that. Other than that, a thoroughly enjoyable movie, really great film, and worthy of being number 2. So my number 1 is Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. This was This was released rather in 1982 and directed by Nicholas Meyer. So this was the first film that he directed in the Star Trek franchise. The second one was Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. This, for me, was a phenomenal film. Absolutely loved it, and I will go out my way to watch this film. And if it's not on, if I want something to watch, I can always turn to this. Brilliantly acted. The action was great. I loved the standoff between the Reliant and the Enterprise. I loved the rivalry between Khan and Kirk. Khan was in a episode of Star Trek, the original series. That was in season 1. The thing that did bug me with this film is when he turned around to Chekhov and said, "I never forget a face, Mr. Chekhov." Obviously, he does forget a face, because he would have known that he would have never seen his face. The reason being for that is Chekhov wasn't in season 1 of Star Trek. So there was a continuity error there. It was a big, big, glaring mistake. Other than that, it was a great film. I really enjoyed it. The end scene, or the ending sequences with Spock, totally wasn't expecting that. That for me came right out of the blue, and I thought, my God, at the time, are they going to be killing off a major character? And yes, they did. But like most movie franchises or TV series, people don't stay dead for long, do they? So obviously he came back in Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. Other than that, again, I don't want to keep repeating myself, fantastic film, head and shoulders above the rest of the movies for sure. Star Trek 3 coming in at second place. That was a close call between Star Trek the Motion Picture and Star Trek 3. I went for Star Trek 3 because it had more action in it, and it was a faster paced movie in parts, whereas Star Trek the Motion Picture was just a slow, steady pace. Star Trek the Motion Picture, however, was head and shoulders above Star Trek 4. It was a give and take film, or take it or leave it film, should I say. I can either done without it, or I could have watched it. It wasn't anything great. Then coming in at number 5 was Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. I will say this for the last Star Trek 5, The Voyage Home. I wish they had not have made these films. I really do. I think sometimes you've got to know when enough is enough, and why the need to flog a franchise to death. And it's not just these films, it is any film franchise. They flog it to death. They try and milk it for every cent it's worth. And brilliant, you're making shitloads of money, but I'm like thinking, not that what I think matters anyway, but it's just my opinions, it's weakening the films. It's weakening the franchise. You've got 3 really strong films at the beginning of this franchise. Leave it at that. The 4th one, the 5th one, and the 6th one, I could have happily lived without. That, people, is my countdown. Those are my reasons behind why I chose which film and where they were placed. As always, I will be interested to hear your comments and your views and your opinions on what your favourite Star Trek movie is and why. Or if you didn't like a certain film, again, interesting to know why. Other than that, that will be a wrap for this video. If you are new to the channel, feel free to comment, like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to let you know of more content. And as always, there will be more content. Again, thank you very much for watching. Much appreciated. See you in the next video. Take care.